speaking to the Chief of Defence Forces, General Francis Ogolla, who joins me on set. There's so much to discuss, and of course the upcoming recruitment of the Kenya Defence Forces officers. Thank you very much, General, for joining us, and congratulations on your appointment as the Chief of Defence Forces.
Thank you very much, John.
You're very much welcome. 100 days into office, what are your priorities as Chief of Defence Forces before we talk about anything else?
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to engage with you and by extension other Kenyans who are watching. I've been in the office now close to 100 days. When I took over, my first aim was to understand my role, and then secondly, engage the entire military to appreciate my vision and what I want to achieve. So in the last 100 days, I've been able to elaborate on my vision, which I've crystallized, with a phrase of one force, one mission. To be able to bring everybody together, to understand what our role is, and focused on the one mission we have of defending the sovereignty of the Republic of Kenya. I've also, in the last 100 days, been able to appreciate the entire force, be able to visit the locations where we are deployed, both internally and externally, and I more or less have an understanding of the entire force and also been able to articulate where I want to take the force to be an effective military in performing its mission.
In terms of enhancing Kenya's territorial integrity, what would you say is what KDF has been able to achieve towards that front? Because that's part of your mandate.
Without going into much details, Kenya is secure along its borders because of us in KDF. We'll be judged by the effectiveness of how we perform our duty. And currently, by and large, other than some minor incursions which are reported here and there, we are secure. And even those incursions, they are not just happening, we are dealing with them.
Let's go back to your phrase, the one force, one mission. There's so much going into, militaries around the world. There's so much going into the modernization of the military to deal with emerging challenges. You can probably take us through what KDF is doing, of course, in line with your mission of one mission, one force, one mission.
Militaries all over the world evolve, and threats to national security change every day. So we must keep on evolving, equipping ourselves to be able to mitigate any emerging threats. So if you hear of military modernization, it's not just a time to go and buy more weapons. We evaluate the threats, the possible threats that are there, and how to mitigate them. And when we realize that some of the equipment or strategies that we have had have some gaps, then we modernize to close these gaps so that we are always capable of defending the Republic.
Let's talk about the upcoming recruitment of the officers of KDF, because that always attracts a lot of attention from Kenyans whenever that time comes. First of all, start by explaining to us why the recruitment is annual.
The military has a role, and to be able to perform this role, you require resources. The first and most critical resource is the human being. You need people, you need equipment, you need all kinds of resources. Now, we have a certain level of force, but as you know, mobility of labor is a common practice everywhere. There are people who leave for whatever reasons. So every year we have to recruit to be able to maintain the level of desired force level we require. And therefore, we recruit to be able to cater for attrition, and also in the context of our modernization, achieve the desired force level that we require. That's the main reason why we recruit every year.
Let's talk about the criteria, or who do you target when you talk about recruitment?
Without going into too many details, first of all, the person who wants to join the military, three things, if I can summarize them. One is the physical form of the person. Second is his medical status. And then third is his academic qualifications. So you can categorize everybody, you know, there are different trades and different entry levels, but those three areas are what we look at. Now, each area has detailed specifics, which if you read our advert, we clearly elaborate. If you want to join as a serviceman, if you want to join as a tradesman, if you want to join as a specialist, if you want to join as a officer cadet, all those various entry levels, the specifics are clearly tabulated.
Under your leadership, you've put emphasis on the online submission of anybody who wants, to participate in this process. Why online?
There are some which we are getting applications online, and there are some which we are going into the field. The online ones, actually, there are only two categories. This is the servicemen who are joining in as tradesmen. Now, you realize when we go to the field, the time is so short, you cannot scrutinize all the qualifications and the trades that this person has done. So we want him to submit all those online, so there's enough time to scrutinize all those details, so that by the time he comes for the interview, we know who we are getting. That is why we do online for tradesmen. Same as specialists. You know, specialists, you've done so many other courses. So the online will enable us to have enough time to go through all your credentials. The others who we only need your age, physical status, and your education, we do it in the field. So the general servicemen, we do it in the field. GSO officers, we do it in the field. GSO officer graduates, we do it in the field. So that's the main reason why we have some online and some in the field.
This recruitment attracts a lot of attention. And part of it, General, is the tag that it's a corrupt process. You know, there are those who say you have to fork as much as 700,000 shillings to get a recruitment letter.
We've had this, we've had people posting in Facebook that KDF is corrupt. It can't be that. We have put measures in place to warn everyone. Recruitment is free, and we want those who want to join because they're interested in serving in the military. Now, when I hear that somebody is paying 700 to join, honestly, as a CDF, I wouldn't want a soldier who has paid his way into the service. How will he serve? How will you defend your country if you've already paid 700,000 to join? This is not acceptable. But that said, we have warned every Kenyan that recruitment is free, and anybody who is soliciting money, you report. And we even provided a line to report anybody who is soliciting money. So every Kenyan with a mobile phone has received a message either through Safaricom or Airtel or Telecom. Yes, that warn them this recruitment is free. It's above board. You go to the field, you apply if you are qualified. Many applicants who qualify sometimes are not taken because the numbers we are taking is less than the total number of applicants. In fact, we in Kenya are lucky that we have this problem. Other countries in the developed world, they don't have people to join. So they ask people, please apply. Here in Kenya, we are telling people, apply, but we get such large numbers. So we use the best, the criteria that ensures regional balance, a criteria that ensures the candidates are qualified and we get people who are qualified.
Other than, incidents of bribery that largely are reported, have you encountered, other forms of reported malpractices during the recruitment?
These malpractices are many. In fact, the worst for us are those who masquerade as military officers. So to the public, they are seen as military officers, and they are not. In fact, in this current recruitment, there's a case which is being investigated of a civilian, a fraudster, who was showing people his photo that he's in a military uniform and is a general, until it became suspicious when it got to us. This person has never served in the military. So that is the unfortunate bit. Those who masquerade as military officers, they go con people, and they are not in the military. To the civilian, everybody says this is KDF person has conned me. But we take it seriously. Every reported case is investigated. If it involves our staff, you go through the disciplinary process, and it is very, very severe. If it is a civilian, we hand you over to the police so that the law takes its due process. Yeah.
Kindly take us through, because when we talk about a civilian, one obviously assumes that it will go through the normal criminal process that is in court. But for a person within the KDF ranks, what exactly happens to them? Because you talk about a process, but what exactly happens to them, and how many cases have you been able to deal with?
Several cases. For example, in the last recruitment, those who are involved in recruitment malpractice, many of them have been going through court-martial. Some of them have been jailed. Some of them, the court-martial is still going on. Some of them were dealt with summarily. We have our KDF Act, where if there's an offense, you can be charged with KDF Act, a certain section, and you are dealt with summarily. So all this, depending on the severity of the case, we use our internal processes to deal with them. And let me tell you for free, this one, there is no way you can be involved in a malpractice and it is swept under the carpet.
There is a possibility, because of the vagaries, or so to say, the other effects of technology, that one is likely to fake their documents. How do you deal with that?
We have officers on ground who check those documents, and sometimes when they are fake, they can tell. But even if you try to fake it to the extent that it is not detectable in the field, once you join, every document is verified, from ID, from certificate that you've submitted, and however long you'll have served, even if it is 1 year, you will be arrested and you'll be taken through the due process. And this goes on every year. And I want to warn Kenyans, if you have a fake certificate, please don't appear in the field, or don't even submit your applications, because we will find out.
Why probably people go to the extent of faking these documents is because once I have my foot, inside KDF, the rest will sort itself out. Are there instances when, even when you have a calling letter, you're likely to be turned back?
Yes, many times. If you have, for example, even if you have a calling letter from the field, and one of the criteria was not met, for whatever reason, a separate group of people you are going to undergo the checks again when you report. If anything is not meeting the required standards, you will still go home, even if you have a genuine letter. So if you have anything faked, for example, something was not seen, maybe by mistake, and you report, we'll still take you through the verification of your documents and medicals, and if any is found to have fallen short, unfortunately, we'll still send you home.
For the recruits, before we talk about the ones in active service, there's a perception out there that, KDF is a male-dominated field. So for the female recruits who want to join KDF, what would you tell them?
We have a gender policy. In the early 70s or early 80s, you are aware the women were separated. We had the Women's Service Corps and then the mainstream military. But sometimes in the late 90s, the women got integrated into the service. We have developed a gender policy. We've moved, and currently we're at about 17%. So ladies who want to join the military, there are several opportunities for them to join. We want to progressively increase it, but as you are aware, sometimes the demand of military service can be very, very strenuous. So those who want to join and are able, we take them on board. We really can't discriminate that you're a lady. If you're qualified, we have several. In fact, ladies in our military, up to higher levels, we have General Ahmed, you're aware, who is in college. Our chief of legal is a lady. Even this communication is headed by a lady, Brigadier Kyoko. So there are opportunities where ladies excel in the military.
Those are the opportunities, the ones in active service. As an institution, advancing public good and the interest of the Republic of Kenya, how are you faring in terms of advancing the two-thirds gender principle in the military?
We are moving towards it. I cannot say we have reached it. We are moving towards it. But we can't force ladies to join, telling them that, you must come so that we meet this requirement. It's a voluntary service. We accommodate those who want to come. But world over, the challenge of deployment. I remember one time when I was talking to a senior person in one of the developed countries, the challenges of managing different genders in the battlefield the reality is that challenge is there. And so we balance and see, the ladies who want to come in, we invite them. But sometimes, I don't want to say restricting, but there are certain times when we can say, we're going to deploy people in this area, but we become sensitive to gender by virtue of the exposure that they are going to be exposed to. Yeah.
What is your message to recruits who are watching you tonight?
First of all, I want to appreciate every Kenyan who would like to join the military, because we need them. We need people who are passionate, who want to join the military. So anybody who has an interest in joining the military, we appreciate you and you are most welcome. All that we tell you is come, present yourself, go through the process. If you qualify and you're taken, come on board. If you don't qualify and you're not taken for one reason or another, if you pass everything, there'll always be another opportunity. But don't give anybody a cent or any form of inducement to join. Please. That is all that I can tell Kenyans. Right. But even for people who are applying, you apply, leave it to us. We'll scrutinize your documents. If you are shortlisted, come for the interview. If you qualify, we welcome you to join us. If you don't qualify, there are always other opportunities to serve the country.
There's something else I want you to emphasize, General. The fairness of the process, because you've spoken largely to it, but there's also the consideration of region and stuff like that. Yes. How do you assure recruits of total fairness?
Military is extremely fair, not even in joining only. Joining in terms of opportunities for training, in terms of career progression. People have this notion that you have, people, so many people from this place. We have data on the entire population of the Republic. So this data informs the numbers that we are taking from every place. We are required by Constitution that we have the face of Kenya. And by and large, I can tell you, at every recruitment center, we have numbers that when they come, the KDF population, more or less, if you take it through a scientific process, will represent the face of Kenya.
As a Chief of Defense Forces, what are you doing to advance the well-being of servicemen and officers under KDF?
When you are in command, and as I am, one of the key things that will concern you is the welfare of your men. If you don't have an interest in the welfare of your men, it will be shown, it will be seen very, very easily. So the welfare of your men will determine the morale, their ability to embrace the force and have that fighting spirit. Several things, welfare. First of all, a genuine concern for those under your command. A genuine concern is part of that welfare. Ensuring that you train them to the level that is required for them to perform their mission. Secondly, you ensure that they are well housed, their families are taken care of, the health care is taken care of, their education facilities for the children, so that when he is in the field, he knows that somebody genuinely cares and thinks of me, and I'm here to fight and defend the Republic. I want to tell you, so much has been done, with and without elaborating that, like I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. It preoccupies my mind every single day that welfare of men and women in KDF is taken care of so that they are available, ready to perform that mission.
Well, how would you want your legacy to look like after General Francis Ogolla has exited?
When I leave, let Kenyans judge me. But I want to leave an effective military, respected world over, and will be able to deliver on its mission wherever, whenever. Yeah.
All right. Demystifying General Francis Ogolla, other than the serious military man we see, the chief of Kenya's Defense Forces, what does General Francis Ogolla do when he's not issuing commands?
Well, as a person,
Yeah,
first
as
of
a
all,
person,
I like to read.
Yeah.
I like to read. And I used to love golf. But the day I was appointed the Chief of Defense Forces, I more or less kept my golf clubs aside. And I said, let me focus on this job wholeheartedly. I ran with soldiers twice a week, just to keep fit. And I like to be sometimes alone to reflect, If I can get 2-3 hours a day to be by myself, I like that. I enjoy it. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, General. For
Thank
your
you
time.
so
We
much. I appreciate it.
And we wish you all the best in dispensing your mandate. Thank you very much. We're speaking to General Francis Ogolla, the Chief of Defense Forces. And of course, the assurance of a general is that the process upcoming is free and fair. So if you're interested and are passionate about serving in the military, go and apply. Thank you very much. Have yourself a blessed night.